name is Hido and welcome to the Pantheon, where today we're in Modern Horizons 2 world. And we're looking at a rather interesting Boros commander. Who loves a good golem? Who doesn't really? General Ferrous Rokiric. 3 mana for a 3-1 with hexproof for mono coloured. Which is quite an interesting ability, you're not really seeing anything like that. But he really cares about multicoloured spells. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a 4/4 red and white golem artifact creature token. Really, really cool, you know. He loves tokens. He loves making tokens. Tokens, lots of tokens. And we're going to build a deck where we take full advantage of this. And, you know, maybe go down the sort of like targeted route, even though he doesn't like monocolored spells. If you like these videos, I'm going to be making one for every single card ever printed that's legendary and a creature. So please do subscribe to keep up to date with all the ones that I'm releasing. Without further ado, let's get into the top 5 for Ferrous. Then at number 5, we've got Jorkadeen the Prevailer. 5 mana for a 5/4 with First Strike, Metalcraft, creatures you control, get +3/+0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. So Metalcraft triggers if you have 3 or more artifacts, as the rules text had just said, and all of the tokens that we're going to be making with our commander are indeed artifacts. So it's a bit of synergy right there, isn't it? So Jorkadeen can make our 4/4s into 7/4s that can just crash in for a ton of damage. Along a similar sort of line to this, here are a couple of buffs for those tokens. Arcbound Shikari? Enter Shikari is a 3 mana 0/0 with First Strike. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each other artifact creature you control. And then Modular 2. Which means this creature enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it. When it dies, you may put the 1/1 counter onto another target artifact creature. So, why is this good? Well, when we cast this, it's going to trigger our commander, creating a golem, which is red and white. And then once it enters, it puts a counter on that. So we've got a 5/5 golem just from casting this, and also the Shikari, which is pretty damn good. Then we've got Legion's Initiative, a red and a white for an enchantment. Red creatures you control get +1/+0. White creatures you control get +0/+1. So our red and white creatures will get +1/+1. Hey! What a great investment on 2 mana. Then you can pay a red and a white, exile Legion's Initiative. Exile all creatures you control. At the beginning of the next combat, return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control, and those creatures gain haste until end of turn. So this can save our commander from any sort of board wipe, any targeted removal, so long as it's not monocolored. Because they just can't target it with it. But this can save, it doesn't save our tokens because, you know, the tokens just get zapped out of existence once they go to exile. But it's a really cool onboard effect, and it'll make our opponents play slightly differently. Then we've got Rise of the Hobgoblins, which is a red or a white, or a red and a white, or a white, or a red for an enchantment. When it comes into play, you may pay X. If you do, X 1/1 red and white Goblin soldier creature tokens are created. Then you can pay a red or a white. Red creatures and white creatures you control gain First Strike until end of turn. So at the baseline, this is 2 mana to get a 4/4, and then you can give it First Strike after that for a single red and all of your other creatures. But you can just dump an absolute massive amount of mana into it and create an enormous army. And look at that artwork. That train of goblins just looks fantastic. Then there's Balefire Liege. A red, white, and 2. Balefire Liege is a spirit horror that's a 2/4. Other red creatures you control get +1/+1. Other white creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast a red spell, it deals 3 damage to target player. Whenever you cast a white spell, you gain 3 life. So we're going to be playing a majority of our spells being red and white. And also, the tokens we create are red and white. So this gives +2/+2 to every one of our golems, which is pretty goddamn good. Then, Waves of Aggression, one of the best multicolored cards for this deck. Hybrid red-white twice, and then 3. For a sorcery, untap all creatures that attack this turn. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. And then you can retrace it, which means you can play this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to its other cost. So this is something that's recurrable. We can just keep doing it over and over again, getting loads of combat steps. Each time we get a combat step, we get another golem because this is a multicolored spell. Absolutely fantastic. Then we've got Aurelia, the War Leader, a very similar sort of mechanic here. 6 mana for a 3/4 Angel with Flying, Vigilance, and Haste. Whenever it attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase. So we can slam in for a bunch of damage with our commander. Well, not our commander. The golems our commander is just sort of pooed out all over the place. Which brings me on to number 4. And in at number 4, we've got Boros Charm. Red, white, instant. Choose one. It deals 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. We could finish someone off with that. Permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. This is the main sort of mode you're going to be using. Protecting all of your permanents is fantastic. And then target creature gains double strike until end of turn. It's actually that one that I'm interested in here. When I was thinking about this deck, I was thinking, well, we can sort of go down the targeting route. There's a lot of cool red-white spells that can target, and we can get some benefits from that. So, oh dear God. Integrity Intervention is a 1 white or a red for the instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So that is 1 mana for an instant speed spell that gives us a golem as well. And then Intervention, 4 mana, it deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. Nice little effect, nice bit of removal, just bolt something, gain some life. And we also get a golem. Then Martial Glory, a red and a white for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. Target creature gets +0/+3 until end of turn. This is actually 2 targets, so if we did have 2 things that wanted to be target, we can target with each side of this and get both of those effects, which is really quite cool and quite a unique sort of thing. And the artwork on this just looks incredible. Look at those oranges. I'd like a bit of orange, to be fair. And it just looks so dynamic and fantastic. Then, Jesus, we've got Response, which is a red hybrid red-white, red-white. Response deals 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. So you could actually target your own creature with this if you really wanted to trigger them. But the main reason we're playing it is Resurgence. A red and a white and 3 for sorcery. Creatures you control gain first strike, vigilance until end of turn. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. So absolutely fantastic with all of the golems we're going to be spitting out. I should really work on having a way that I can read these easier, but that's for a future me, I think. Then Make Your Mark as a red or a white for an instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. When that creature dies this turn, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. So for single mana, we could potentially be making a 4/4 golem and a 3/2 spirit, you know, if something's just going to die. So that's absolutely fantastic and great. Generates just a ton of good value. Then Psychotic Fury. It isn't a multicolored spell, but it cares about multicolor. It's 2 mana for an instant. Target multicolored creature gains double strike until end of turn. And you draw a card. How lovely. So we can target our golems, target our commander. Absolutely wonderful. Then another just great buff spell, Fists of Flame. 2 mana for an instant. Draw a card. Until end of turn, target creature gains trample and gets +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. So this can be absolutely fantastic, especially if we're copying a lot of times. Ooh, I wonder if that's a hint to the future. In at number 3, we've got Annex and Samid, and these are the cards that I was talking about that you want to target. And it's a nice little build around for this deck. You could also play this as your commander, but it's not as good. 3 mana for a 3/2 first strike with vigilance and heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Annex and Samid, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. So if we can pop off quite a few spells on this, all of our golems are going to get a big buff. They're all going to get trample. We can just swing in for tons of damage. And this is a multicolored spell, so it triggers our commander and gets us a lovely little golem to play with. Then there's Hero Nyxborn, 3 mana for a 2/2. When it ends the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier token. So it goes well with the sort of token theme we've got going on. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Hero Nyxborn, creature control get +1/+0 until end of turn. It's heroic in all but name. So this can help buff our entire team and just get tons of value. Then we've got a Crone Crusader, 1 mana, 1/1. Not often you want to be playing these in Magic, but they're heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets it, you get a 1/1 soldier token with haste. Ooh. So it really helps broaden your board state, and we can get in for a bit of damage. Then Phalanx Leader, double white for a 1/1. Heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets it, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. This is one of the more powerful versions of this effect, if not the most powerful, because it's a permanent 1/1 counter, so it stays forever. So that's pretty damn good, and you should really prioritize getting this guy from your deck. Which brings me on to number 2, and in number 2, we've got Precursor Golem. Now, I was talking about copying spells, and here it is. Here's the big ooh. This works fantastically with this deck. 5 mana for a 3/3 Golem. We're going to make golems with our commanders. This is a golem. Golem Tribal. Whenever it enters the battlefield, put 2 3/3 colors golem artifact creature tokens onto the battlefield. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell that targets only a single golem, that player copies that spell for each other golem that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those golems. So, if we've got a pump spell, we target one and then we just target absolutely everything else and we get in for tons of damage. However, it does work for our opponents as well. So if they put a Swords to Plowshares in one of our golems, well, the Swords to Plowsharing every one of our golems. But that's what Boros is all about, high risk, high reward. Why not? Why not? Well, I mean, why not is because you could end up getting board wiped for a single white mana, but you get a bit of life. Then to go along with this, we've got a couple of other cards that work really well like this. Zada, Hedron Grinder, is a 4 mana 3/3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that tags only Zada, copy that spell for each other creature you control and that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. So again, all those bump spells, boom, 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 we're just going to spread them everywhere. Then Mirrorwing Dragon, an excellent version of this effect. 5 mana for a 4/5 with flying. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell that tags only Mirrorwing Dragon, that player copies that spell for each other creature he or she controls that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. Now, this doesn't have the weakness of Precursor Golem because if your opponent points a Swords to Plowshares and Mirrorwing Dragon, well, they copy it for each creature that they control that it could target. So they're going to end up Swords to Plowsharing their entire board state, which generally they don't want to do. So excellent card for this deck. And then we've got a brand new card here, Radiant Performer, 5 mana for a 2/2 with Flash. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, choose target spell or ability that targets a single permanent or player. Copy that spell or ability for each other permanent or player that spell or ability could target. Each copy targets a different one of those permanents or players. Well, this can get out of control very quickly. So all of those copies, say we've got a pump spell that draws us a card, gives +1, so some nonsense like that. Well, that's going to target absolutely every single creature, not only ours, but everyone else's. So we're going to draw an absolute ton of cards. But what if this was targeting a Chaos Warp, which can target any permanent? Well, that means that the game will just spiral out of control as every single permanent on the field will be Chaos Warped. And I think at that point, you just abandon the game and put it down to, poor management. Which brings me on to number 1. And in at number 1, we have Reckless Fireweaver. 2 mana for a 1/3. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So we're going to have an absolute ton of these tokens entering the battlefield. Every single time we cast a spell, we're going to be getting one. We can just ping, 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 and then swing in for lethal. But wait, why don't we get in with some more damage? Ferrous God of the Forge is a 4 mana 6/5 indestructible god. And it's as long as your devotion to red is less than 5, it isn't a creature. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. And creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn for paying 3 mana. So this can just absolutely chip away at the game. Just kill, 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 kill. And, everyone dies and falls over miserable. Then this is sort of, as we're talking about artifacts, well, why don't we protect them by making them indestructible? Darksteel Forge, 9 mana. Artifacts you control are indestructible. So all of our tokens, they cannot be destroyed. They can be Swords to Plowshare though. And then Impact Tremors is a 2 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Exactly the same as Perforos. Works fantastically. And then a couple of other artifact synergies to round off here. Lochiel Clockwork Scholar, 3 mana for a 2/4. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. And whenever 1 or more artifact creatures enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So that downside of triggering once each turn isn't really that bad because we're playing a lot of instant speed multicolored spells. We can cast one on each opponent's turn, make a golem, and then get a card draw from it. Wonderful. And when we're swinging in, all of our artifact creatures are going to be protected. Then we've got Alaboo, Ancient Witness, a 5-mana 4/5. Other artifact creatures you control have haste, so everything that we make will be able to attack straight away. And because this is a 2-colored spell, we're going to get a golem from it. And it's a golem itself. Whenever one of our artifact creatures you control attack, Alaboo, Ancient Witness deals X damage to any target, and you scry X, where X is the number of tapped artifacts you control. This is going to be an absolute house in this deck. We're going to have loads of tapped artifacts. All of your ramps going to be artifacts, and you can just dome someone for a ton of damage, and then just dig through your deck. Then, Leonin Abunus, 4 mana for a 2/5. Artifacts you control have hexproof. Excellent bit of defense. Allows people, it stops people from Swords to Plowshares, your golems. Really, really, really good. And it's a cat cleric, which is always nice. Those are my top 5 cards for this brand new commander. I think it's really quite cool. Takes sort of a different stance on Boros, and it's pretty solid. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please do subscribe, like, and comment. I enjoy making these, so I'm going to be making lots more. Thanks for watching. Bye.